Hello, welcome back to another videos, and today we'll be taking a look at one of my historic Pauper Ladder matches. And yes, I know I haven't really been uploading videos, but been lately just doing other things, and yeah, just vibing with life. But seriously, we're back to doing these videos, so hopefully I can try to show up for these one time. So I think for this post commentary, I'm just gonna talk about like a discussion around elves, because you're gonna see like kind of all the troubles I've gone through to make elves good. And yeah, we'll just talk about that for a brief moment. So I wanted to make a tribal deck besides like clerics or like zombies, and I went with elves because I thought elves were like, you know, kind of like the poster child of like every tribal deck besides goblins. I think goblins is just another like iconic deck, but elves is up there too, in terms of tribal decks. What I was aiming for was more of a like a gruesome fate type of build with like drain effects. You're gonna see some of the mistakes I made. Maybe this is a bad matchup, but I don't know. So, like, most of the elves I have in this deck are just like ramp and token making. So, I was just like trying to experiment for like how should elves play and stuff. And I went with this like Golgari, like mid range type of deck. And if I'm not mistaken, I think there was a elf deck that was in a tournament kind of like this that did actually do pretty well, and it was like I think it was just mono green. Um, I was surprised to see that too. Like, how can like a mono green elf deck do something? You know, if they don't have really good payoffs. But there's some good payoffs. Like I just got here. Like Wild Hurt Invoker is like pretty good payoff if you get enough mana. Uh, Unfortunately, I just wasn't really focusing on that. I was trying to go wide, but if you're against like a blink deck, it's really hard. Not gonna lie. Um, but that could just be me. So you're gonna see maybe it's just this matchup that's terrible, or you know, matchups with a lot of creatures that go big. This is terrible for elves, but I don't know. Um, I took apart this deck because I didn't think it was interesting or fairly good. You're gonna see if I win or lose in this matchup, though. So, and that's the other train effect, the Lampit of Death's Vigil. But it just, I don't think it's that good, honestly. Um, I found a new way to build elves, which was to do like overrun effects. I think those just work way better than draining your opponent, because the whole point of elves is to just attack and create elf ball. You know, the name of this video is Will Elves Ever Be Ballin? And I think they can be with overrun effects and other stuff. I mean, if they made a like overrun at common, this deck would be really good, I think. Or they made like just like kind of like a Creator of Behemoth type of creature, then this deck could be really good, you know? I just don't see elves really doing much in this meta, just because of the way people play creatures. People aren't playing like... If you're playing a tribal deck, you want to rely on big bodies and not small creatures, you know? 1/1s just don't cut it. If you're gonna go with 1/1s, you have to run like overrun effects. Or ways to like pump them, you know? Kind of like how hot dogs works. Like they have one toughness at first, but they can raise it really quickly, you know. The conundrum with like one toughness creatures too, and like two toughness creatures, they can easily just be wiped out with like board wipe effects and stuff, and that's why, you know, we don't see a lot of one toughness creatures, you know. It's just not worth it. You're just gonna get blown out in maybe like 2 or 3 for 1, and it's just not, you know. Elves could be good if they have like maybe a pip of toughness, but yeah, just not worth it. You're gonna see I make a play here too with the Wild Heart Invoker. I could just pump it, but like, why would I, you know, want to do that? It's just crazy to me that, you know, elves and historic pauper are just like not even top tier. Where elves everywhere else like could be a good deck. It's like with goblins too. Like you can put goblins in any format and they'll be good. Like even in standard, there's like a goblin deck, and it's not great, but it's not bad either. So same thing with elves. Like you can make an elf deck be good, and it can just do some work. Like even in like vintage pauper, like you know, it's a top deck. It's really good. However, in this, it just doesn't stand a chance. I don't see any matchup where elves can be good. Maybe in Serpentine Curve, because Serpentine Curve does not like, you know, a mass of creatures, especially if you can drop them as early as turn 1 and just keep going. Other than that, I don't see any other matchups. Like combo just gets wrecked, or like also like clerics gets wrecked by because of stupid uh, Soul Sister. It's like with that combo, yeah, it's just not good. Also, like any other like good like control deck, even mid range, this deck gets wrecked. Um, so it's just not worth playing this deck. I mean, the age-old question: are elves ballin in this format? And I said, yeah, it can be with Overrun, but this version, no, nah. Just I'm not even balling with elves. I'm just like draining my opponent. I'm draining it, like in basketball terms. For the 3, oh, he drains it. Okay. Oh, wouldn't it look cooler if you can dunk it, like balling, like you just ball? I don't know. But yeah, it's like this. As you can see, this game's boring. It's like I'm just attacking with this one elf. And he'll just block because he can. So it's very sad. It's a very sad game. Luckily, I'll have the next historic pauper will be more interesting, as I'm doing testing on a meta deck. I am going to actually bring in a tournament and see if it does well, and I'm gonna prove to I'm gonna prove to the historic pauper people that, you know, this card I think could be banned in the future, just because of how just egregious it is. Oh, and by the way, this bug is stupid. You gotta tap your mana manually. I found this out when I was playing this deck too. It's like, I have 8 mana, it just won't autopay because it's lazy, so I have to do it myself. So, yeah. And at this point, I'm like, is there even any way to win? And I said, like, nope, there's no way for me to win. Blink is one of those decks I've always kind of think was annoying. Like, it's not even a good deck, it's just annoying. I don't like how the deck plays. It's more of like a prison deck. If you play it in the vintage pauper thing, it is so annoying to play because they have a Stonehorde Dignitary where your opponent will skip their combat phase. And granted, the deck's not good, but it's just annoying to play against because it just wins by prison, which, I mean, if you don't know me, my two, like, most hated archetypes in all of Magic is, like, control and prison. You know, I just never liked that. I guess also, like, straightforward, like just not creative combo decks also, but that's besides the point. I think all combo decks are pretty cool. There's like a couple exceptions that I think are bad, like Storm and stuff. But other than like Storm, you know, I like the more interesting combos like Breakfast and KCI. I think those decks are really interesting. It's just like Storm, just simple. It's like the simplest combo deck you could think of. You know, just ritual, remove your Storm card. It's monkey brain. It's not hard to pilot a Storm deck. If you know what you're doing, you know what you're doing. Like with KCI, you know, when do you know when you cast your like Pirate Spellbomb? Like, when can you pay for something as a cost? Like, you have to announce your intent to cast a spell when you're paying for like mana cost. When you have Scrap Trawler out or whatever. I'm just talking about combo decks because this game isn't particularly exciting. I mean, fun fact about me is like when it comes to combo, I am very like I try to be creative with combo decks. I don't like combos where they're just one way. Um, I try to find like different avenues to what you can do with them. And I like, you know, Matt Nass is like a perfect example of like a really good combo player. Like he does KCI. His deck got banned though. I don't think that deck should be banned, in my opinion. But I mean, if people say it's like, oh, you could just do it like this one person can make a deck that's really powerful. Okay, there's deck masters out there. There's gonna be people that, you know what they're doing and have devoted their time and effort to making a deck viable, you know. I call those people deck masters. You know, the same thing with the Epic Storm. He makes like just his Storm decks, and I think he is the deck master of Storm. And other things related to Storm, like he has like also like Twiddle Storm or Lotus Field combo. You know, those players really interest me. And even a player you may have never heard of, he actually plays Pauper. It's B00. He plays a deck called like, and I think he really pioneered it. I don't know if he invented the deck, but I think he did. And it's called like Tortured Existence. And it's a really cool Pauper deck where you can loop creatures in the graveyard for like benefit. It's a really interesting deck. You should check out his channel. If you just search up like Tortured Existence, like Pauper, you'll find a deck on what it is. It's really interesting. I actually like the deck a lot. I think it's very creative. So yeah, just amazing other stuff, you know, too. For me, like with combo, you know me. I just like Mongwords. I do like Tortured Existence. I play that sometimes in Pauper. I do sometimes play Walls combo. In fact, I kind of want to go back to doing some like Walls combo shenanigans and stuff, you know. So yeah, I was thinking about doing that. Huh, maybe I should do like a Walls combo because there is a way you can do that in this format. It's just really hard to set up. and stupid, but there is a way you can do it. I mean, it's just frankly not good, but I mean, when is it ever good? It's not even good in regular Pauper. It barely stands thing. And yeah, I just didn't care, and I just let him attack. I could have sacked for like a game life, but I was like, nah, this is just not gonna work. So I sideboard in against flyers. Blink, I don't have an answer for, so I'm like, I have no graveyard hit, so I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to do. So I just like panic and just go for Tangle Trap. Hopefully, you can't blink them. Against Blink, you want to just exile their graveyard because Duress is also good too, but they could just blink in response. So it's very good just against Blink. You just want to exile their graveyard so they can't get the momentary blink back. Or if you have instant speed destroy effects, those are actually good too, because if they blink in response to you removing their creature, you can just cast. You 2-for-1 yourself, but at least you get rid of the annoying creature. Because technically they 2-for-1 themselves, so you technically come out just even. So it doesn't even matter if you like waste 2 removal. They wasted a card and you wasted a card, so you both wasted a card. By the way, I just get terrible hands here, you know. Granted, this deck has only like 16 lands, but still, like, it's just ridiculous. And yee. So I took apart this deck and I just did the overrun version. I went with Selesnya instead. I think it's better to go Selesnya than it is to go Golgari. So I just went with Selesnya instead because I think it's better. Anyways, it has that one creature where you can grow it. So I have no problem running that. And yeah, I mean, I think Elves, in general, it's not good. Even if you do build the Selesnya version, I don't think it's necessarily good, but it is a little bit better than this deck. I will give it that, you know. So I can like run Dauntless Unity and that one other creature too. So yeah, it is what it is. So I was also like, I started freaking out. It's like I'm drawing all these lands and I have like what 16 lands and I'm drawing all these lands. It's like I got so frustrated. I just didn't even want to try. That made me not want to experiment with decks anymore in the Pauper Ladder. So I went back to just my meta decks. And I was like, those do better. Why don't I just do that? And I don't know. I think I could, if I have enough time, I can come up with a decent deck, but I said, hey, Elves might be good. Nah. It's just not my style either, you know. I'm not really into, like, tribal. If it's goblins, I can do okay, but if it's a deck that requires, like, you building up boards, I'm not good with that. I just like to go face when I'm doing tribal decks. And if I have to, like, put out my haymakers, it's just, like, not worth it. Like, I can do, like, vintage goblin deck. Because, like, every goblin's important. Like, Goblin Lackey, just swing, you get a goblin. The lords, just swing, because they just grow themselves. And it's like, yeah, I just gave up. I was like, Mana War, nah, I'm not having it. So yeah, those are the deck. And I thank you for watching, even though it wasn't really a game. It's just nice to talk about my stuffs.